When you look at the world of biology, it can seem kind of messy, right? Just this chaotic, unpredictable thing. But what if I told you that underneath it all, from the way a bird flies to the way a plant grows, it's all governed by the elegant, predictable rules of physics? Okay, let's dive into this. So let's start with something we can all relate to: sound. What you're seeing here is the range of hearing for different animals. And it's wild. A dolphin's reality is just filled with these ultrasonic clicks that are completely silent to us. Meanwhile, a bullfrog is tuned into these super low frequencies. Each one of them is living in a completely different world of sound, and it's all dictated by the physics of sound waves meeting the biology of their ears. So, what's really going on here? We see all these incredible things in nature, but what are the fundamental principles making it all work? What are the hidden rules that connect the flap of a bird's wing to the pound of your foot when you run? Well, the answer, as we're going to see, is physics. Let's start with the big stuff: how animals actually get around. This is where you can really see the engineering principles that evolution has been tweaking and perfecting for millions and millions of years. Think about a bird. It's not just flapping its wings up and down. A bird in slow flight is an absolute master of fluid dynamics. As this diagram shows, every single downstroke creates this little donut-shaped vortex of air, a puff, that actually pushes the bird up. It's not about brute force. It's this incredibly precise, elegant manipulation of the air itself. All right, now let's bring it back to us, how we run. Your foot? It's not just some stump you land on. No, it's a super sophisticated lever. With every single step, your foot is managing this complex dance of forces. Your leg pushing down, the ground pushing right back up, and all that tension in your Achilles tendon. It's literally a classic physics problem, playing out thousands of times on your morning jog. And the forces we're talking about here are just staggering. For an average person, say 158 pounds, the force on that foot can spike to around 430 pounds on every stride. That's almost 3 times your body weight, all focused on that one little area. So how does our body not just snap? Well, here's the secret. It's an incredible energy-saving trick. Our tendons, they act like these high-tech biological springs. See, when your foot lands, the Achilles tendon stretches, storing all that impact energy. And then, like a rubber band, it recoils, returning up to 93% of that energy to push you into your next step. This little bit of physics makes our running about 1/3 more efficient than it would be otherwise. Amazing. Okay, now let's zoom in. We've looked at our skeletons. Now let's look at the stuff flowing inside us. And it turns out the fluids in our bodies are, well, they're a lot weirder than you might think. If you push water through a tiny pipe, the resistance stays the same. Simple, predictable. That's what's called a Newtonian fluid. But blood? Blood is different. It's a non-Newtonian fluid, and this gives it a totally bizarre and super useful property. The faster you push it, the thinner it gets. This is exactly what allows it to squeeze through our tiniest, most narrow capillaries with incredible efficiency. And the real hero of the story is the red blood cell itself. I mean, this is just genius-level design. First off, it has no nucleus. It's basically just a flexible little bag of hemoglobin. That unique donut shape, that's perfectly designed to reduce stress when it has to squeeze and deform. It lets the cell stretch to several times its size without breaking. It's a perfect example of finding strength through flexibility. So, we've seen the physics of our tissues and our fluids. Now let's go even smaller, down to the cellular level. But how in the world can we see a world that's completely invisible? Yeah, the things we're talking about now are just way, way too small for a regular old light microscope. To really unlock the secrets of the cell, biology needed a little help. It needed a tool from the world of physics. And that tool is the electron microscope. Instead of using photons of light, this thing shoots a beam of electrons, which have a much, much shorter wavelength. And what that means is that it can magnify things to an absolutely mind-boggling degree, opening up a whole new dimension for biologists. And the images you can get are just breathtaking. This is the surface of a fly's eye. You could never, ever get this kind of detail with a light microscope. The electron microscope gives us this stunning, 3-dimensional landscape with an incredible depth of focus. It's just spectacular. But wait, we can go even smaller. I mean, way smaller. This image shows the atomic lattice of carbon. Those lines you see are just 0.344 times nanometers apart. At this point, we're not just looking at cells anymore. We are looking at the literal atoms that build everything. The line between biology, chemistry, and physics it completely vanishes. Okay, we've gone from limbs to tissues to cells to atoms. So it's time for the final leap into the absolute strangest, most fundamental, and most mind-bending realm of all, the quantum world. That's right, photosynthesis, the process that literally powers almost all life on our planet, it relies on the bizarre, counterintuitive rules of quantum mechanics to work. Life isn't just classical physics, life is a quantum phenomenon.
It all comes down to something called quantum coherence. So when a photon of light hits a molecule in a leaf, the energy doesn't just hop from one molecule to the next like a baton in a relay race. No, it's much weirder. It enters a quantum state where that energy is shared across multiple molecules at the exact same time. It's like the energy gets to explore all possible paths simultaneously to find the absolute fastest route to get where it needs to go. That's why the process is nearly 100% efficient.
And if you're thinking, okay, that sounds like science fiction, well, here's the visual proof. That dotted line shows the light absorption of a single molecule. See? One peak. But when you link two of them together, that's the solid line, that single peak splits into two. That split, that is the visual signature of quantum coherence. It's the smoking gun, the evidence that these two molecules are sharing energy in a quantum state. It's real. So physics builds life with these incredibly elegant, delicate quantum systems. But physics can also be a wrecking ball. What happens when something like high-energy radiation from the physical world slams into our delicate biological machinery? Well, the damage happens at the most fundamental level you can imagine. This kind of radiation can literally shred our DNA, breaking chromosomes and causing mutations. It messes with the basic process of cell division. And if the dose is high enough, it can just kill the cell outright. It's a pretty stark reminder of how powerful and sometimes destructive this intersection of physics and biology can be. Okay, so we've seen how physics governs everything from how we move to how we exist. So for our final step, let's pull back out and see how understanding all these rules lets us use the language of math to actually model and predict the forms that life takes. This just blows my mind. On the left, you've got one species of fish on a simple grid. On the right, a totally different looking species. They seem unrelated. But watch. When you apply a simple mathematical transformation, just stretching and warping that grid in a specific way, one fish morphs perfectly into the other. This shows us that the difference between them isn't random at all. It's just an elegant mathematical shift. It reveals this deep, shared blueprint underneath, all governed by the rules of physics and geometry. It's really an incredible idea when you think about it. Life speaks the language of biology, but it writes its rules in the language of physics. From the quantum dance happening in a single leaf to the mathematical curves that define a fish, the rules are all there, just waiting for us to read them. And it just makes you wonder, what secrets are we going to read next?